in Dallas. They were having been home about a week, this big youth revival service. Well, I didn't know what that was. My mother said, well, it's a bunch of guys and girls from Baylor University, and they're going to have these big services out in Cole Park.
And then in a few years, there were youth revivals going all across the South, from Texas clear to the East Coast.
I went. My mother and dad went, my brother and all, and I really didn't like it. I know now why I didn't like it, because what I heard was what I wanted to hear, but I really wasn't ready to hear it, I think. I kept thinking, no, I don't know, that sounds a little too, I don't know whether, well,
I think all of us felt hopelessly unprepared. We had been plunged in far over our heads.
I kept going back, going back, and then the next day my mother said, are you going back tonight? And I said, well, no, I don't think so, Mom. I think I have some other things I want to do. She said, oh, I'm sorry, you do whatever you want to do. But I've invited all those young men who are doing the preaching, and a lot of them who are involved in it, to come over to our house for some refreshments after the service. And I was hoping that you could be here. Well, I was trapped. So I went, and I came to my house with great reluctance. I felt like I didn't want to be with this bunch. I had kind of gotten the idea that to be a Christian was something you did if you were not proficient at something else. That if you weren't a real good student, well, you could always be a Christian. You know, if you, I had sort of that bad attitude that being a Christian was just sort of the leftovers of life. But what got me were these guys were incredibly brilliant. I mean, not only great athletes, but great students, and very gregarious people, very likable people, nothing phony about them, no pious kind of talk. And they were openly and positively affirming God's love and God's grace, and they made me feel like I was part of them. It was not so much what I heard them preach. It was their spirit and their attitude and their obvious inclusion of me that made me feel differently. I was way in the back, but I walked down that aisle, and I walked up to, I believe it was Bob Harris, as I remember, and he said, what decision are you making? And I said, I don't know. I just know I need to give my heart to the Lord in a way that I've never done before.
And then he made a public commitment later, and then within a matter of, it seemed to me, weeks, he was speaking, and speaking with immense power.
Beyond anything that any of us may ever have thought we would do, God did it, and we give him the thanks and the credit for it. What would you need to do is to study, be open, learn from others, take your work very seriously, but don't take yourself so seriously. We enjoyed one another, and we enjoyed one another's insights. And humor was a great thing. We played a lot of tricks on one another in one way or another. We did not take ourselves so seriously. We took what we were doing very seriously, but if anybody began to kind of get to be kind of pious and kind of holy, we started talking about, oh, he's the Holy Joe. He's the new Holy Joe. Come on back down to the level with all the rest of us.